Hello and welcome to week 15. Getting awful close here. Week 15 of stats in psychology, and this week we're going to be taking on the second half of our study of ANOVAs by looking at two-way ANOVAs. Now, let's take a little look at the decision-making chart that we have, and we'll see that we start over here. We're looking at means, how many samples, and we've done, one sample and all of these z-tests and t-tests, which come down here to the paired sample, independent samples, and now it's 3 or more samples. We're in the ANOVAs, but there's something special about these particular ANOVAs as we move from the one-way analysis of variance and the two-way analysis of variance. It is best expressed as a matrix in terms of multiple groups that we're going to be comparing to each other. The example that I used in the course book was my research that I did as an undergraduate. And I was looking at two factors here. There was going to be 4 groups in all, and I was looking at how music affects change in mood. And we'll see that I am looking at both familiar and unfamiliar music and stimulating and sedative music. So there's one group, there's the next group, next group, next group. So these are my dependent variables, and there's 2 levels of it here and 2 levels of it here, and this would all be a 2x2 matrix design. There were 4 groups that I measured. I exposed this group to familiar and stimulating. I exposed this group to stimulating and familiar, this group to stimulating unfamiliar, this group to sedative and familiar, this group to sedative and unfamiliar. When I measured the differences, there were differences between the effect of familiar and unfamiliar along this axis, and there were effects along this axis. However, there was also a diagonal effect. It could have been this way, or it could have been this way. But it was this way, and that indicated that there was an interaction between these variables and these variables. So you're looking at main effects, and we're looking at interactions when we're doing this kind of test. Now, when we do this kind of test, we get results that look like this. And this can be a little intimidating, to tell you the truth. But there's a lot of excess information in this chart. What I want to point out is, where is the matrix? So over here, we have 2 of the variables are male and female. So you have 2 different measures of that variable, gender. And then you have 3 different variables of the majors, so statistics, psychology, and political science. This right here is your matrix. So this is a 2x3. Now when we look down here and we look at the results of the ANOVA, what we see is there's sample and column results. The sample results are the differences that we've seen here. The column results are here. Oh, that's a 3. Sorry about that. Now if we look down here, down in this area right here, we can see that when we're looking at the sample results, 1 and 2, is there a main effect for gender? And we see that indeed the F is 25.79, The critical F is 3.92, so it totally blew that away. We could see that the p-value, which we've set, maybe 0.01, is actually 0.0000, whatever. Look over here in this section. Be careful right here. It says 1.49567 to the minus 6 power. So that's moving the decimal point over a little bit. And so very, very important to see those minus. It'd be an error, the error, because there's not enough room in that cell, and it's telling you that it's to a power. Now you see that there is a main effect for gender. That'd be the sample. And then the columns would be comparing the 1, the 2, and the 3, be comparing statistics, psychology, and political science. And that also had a 130F with a critical value of 3.07. Look at that one. That's 3.147 to the minus 30 power. These are very, very powerful results. So that's what I'm going to be looking for you to do in this particular chapter. We're looking at a very, very common design where you have different levels of one variable on one side, different levels of another variable on the other axis, and you have cells. And each one of those you measure, and then you're doing an ANOVA to see if there's any significant differences between them. Very, very common way of doing research. Should have no problem finding examples of that in the literature. So this week, chapter 14 assignment. I've given you some data to do one of those. This week, I want you to reach out to me and give me 1 or 2, 3 times you can meet this week, next week, to kind of get into a discussion about your final paper, your project. And I posted in each one of my classes this week, I posted an open-ended discussion in the ungraded section asking you for constructive feedback on the class. I know we're not even done yet, but I want to get that in so that I can hear from you as I'm designing this class for the next semester. So constructive feedback, anything about the course book, anything about the class, anything about these videos, anything that you want to give some feedback on, good, bad, and ugly. I want to hear it all. It will have no impact on your grade. So don't worry about insulting me or anything like that. That is not a problem. So enjoy this week before the last. We have one more set of tests to look at after this, and then we'll be done for the semester. So good luck this week, and have a great week.